Hi, everybody. My name is Joel Pogar. I'm an area director with the Denver Football Officials Association, and I will be joined in a few moments by Monica Tillman from CHASA. Monica and I have put this video together to help you get set up in Arbiter for the very first time, assuming you're a new official and brand new to officiating football in the state of Colorado. This will allow you to get your profile set up, get your background check done, and everything you need to get going and get games assigned to you. For Arbiter Sports, this is the actual URL or website you're going to be going to, so everything we refer to in the video is referencing this site. And without further ado, we'll get right into it. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Monica. Monica is really in charge of Arbiter and all the questions you may have. If either of us can be of help to you in your football officiating journey, don't hesitate to let us know. Thanks, and here you go.
All right, welcome new officials. As promised, I told you guys I would be delivering you a recording of how to use Arbiter and get signed in for the very first time. Today I'm joined by Monica Tillman over at CHASA, and Monica is our Arbiter 1 expert. Is that right, Monica?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
We're going to go with the expert.
I very much appreciate you taking the time to do this. So we've got several new officials coming in for this season, and you've got all their information. They're anxiously awaiting to get their logins and their IDs. And so once they get those, kind of walk me through what they're going to need to do, what they're going to see for the very first time, and what's a new official got to do from start to finish.
Okay, so when I get the information from the area directors, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the football account and I'm going to add your name and your email address. Once I do that, I'm going to send you a welcome. So the welcome is going to look like this, and it's going to come from Arbiter Sports. It's going to give you your welcome. Down here at the bottom, it'll tell you your username, and then you'll have to click on this link that says reset your password. So normally a default would be your email address and your last name as the password. So once you see this welcome from me, you will go and log in and reset your password.
So let me make sure I understand. So the very first time, it's going to be their email address plus their last name as their password?
Yes. So you can try that right away when you get your welcome. If that doesn't work, then this password reset is going to be your next option.
Got it.
So right away it should be email and last name. If that does not work, then just come back to this Arbiter welcome and click this link that says reset your password. Now your password can be anything you want it to be. Just make sure that it's easy to remember, because once you set it from the default, I don't have access to that anymore.
Got it. Okay, very helpful.
So that's all on you once you reset that password. I recommend a lot of times just to leave it as your last name if it lets you log in like that, just because it's real easy to remember and there's no special characters or anything like that. So that would be my suggestion. But if you have a password that you normally use and you want to keep using that one, just reset it and then just make sure you remember it.
Okay, perfect.
So then once you get in, your screen is going to look like this. So you're gonna come in and it's gonna have your name. So can you see where it says Thomas Robinson on it?
I can, yes.
Okay. So now it would say your name and it would have these same announcements. It's gonna look a lot similar to you know what? I actually want to try something else. Let's go here. Sorry, as I'm talking along, this is what your screen will look like.
Right.
So this is Joel's account. So this is how, when you log in, this will be the screen that you see. In the upper right corner, it should say your name. It should say CHASA Football 104520. That's the first account that you're going to have access to. The one I'm sending you a welcome to, the one that that's the main account that you're going to have as a new official. So all of this will be blank because you won't have a schedule yet. You won't have an Arbiter Pay account yet set up. So it's a lot of this is going to be blank, but this is going to be what it looks like.
Okay, so I know I've got multiple CHASA accounts. Can you just kind of walk through what those may be for? Because they're going to be doing their testing, right? So isn't there a separate account for testing versus scheduling,
right,
kinds of things?
Yep. So when if you're using the CHASA account, which I think most of the football games are assigned through the 104520. Now, if you're an official that came in and you've got another, you're an official in another sport like basketball, then you're going to have a screen that has all of the accounts that you belong to. So when I click on this, you're going to see all the accounts that are my admin accounts. So nobody's going to probably have this many, but
right.
Let's say you're a football official and you're a basketball official. So when you log in, you'll have an option to go 104520 CHASA football and then official. Or you would have maybe a basketball account. So when you log in and you're new to football, you'd probably only have the 104520. You're going to sign into it as an official because you're going to have to do some registration setup before you get access to our main, which is where the test is at. So let me show you what you're going to do to get to that point. So when you log in and you get to that 104520, the first thing that you're going to see is this click here to register. And you're going to click on that link. And it's going to come up, and up in this piece right here, which of course it's not there because you've already registered, but it's going to say current registrations, and it's going to have a box that says 2018, 2019. So it's going to look just like this piece down here underneath Joel's already completed registration. But I'm going to back out of this now because I want to be, can I move this? I want to be able to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go back to Tom's account, or back to my admin account, and I'll show you what it looks like. So you'd click on that, click here to register, and then this is how it's going to come up for them. So you're going to put a check mark in the box, and you're going to click on register. And then this screen's going to come up. And each of these steps have to be completed. So you're going to walk through each of the welcome, and then you're going to come to the personal page, and you're going to make sure that all of the required information is in. So every time you see the red asterisk, that means that it's required. So sometimes you run into, like, you've got one phone number here, and it looks like it's the only one required. But if you click on next and it says you still don't have a phone number, just put another phone number in or the same phone number and then hit next.
Okay.
Each of these screens will come through, and you have to answer every screen in order to get to the next step, which would be the CHASA main. So when you get all the way through all of these steps, the last step is going to be the dues page, where it's going to look like you have to pay. But as a new official, you've already paid your dues. So at this time, it's just basically allowing you to pay if you haven't already. So as a new guy, you've already paid, so I don't want you to pay again. I want you to come down here to the bottom, click the check option, and then agree to the terms, and then hit make payment. Don't put any payment information in. There's nothing that you need to pay, because the only reason you have access to Arbiter right now is because your area directors have already given me your check.
Perfect.
So once you do that, I get notified, and I check almost every day to make sure that every person who's registered and got to that dues payment step has got to where I've entered your payment. So once I enter your payment, you're going to get another email from Arbiter, and it's going to say, your dues have been paid, or your registration has become complete. When you get that email from Arbiter, that's when you know that now you have access to the main page where the test is. So the next time you log in, I'll show you what it looks like. So,
hey, quick question before you leave that page, Monica. So I know the background check needs to get done, and so can you briefly talk about how they get that squared away?
That's coming in the next part.
Got it. Okay.
So you're not going to get a background check in the 104520. You won't have access to get your background check until you've registered and you've got access to the main, which is where we're going to go next.
Okay.
So I'm going to log back in and show you what your screen will look like now when you log in. Okay, so once you get that email from, of course I didn't do it. Okay, so let me see if I can try to get.
So at this point, we're all registered. We've gotten our second email.
You've got your second email. You know that that's coming because I've marked you as paid.
Yep.
So now what I'm trying to show is what it's going to look like when you actually sign back in. Okay, so when you got that second email, you know that I've marked you as paid. You're ready to go take the test and get your background check. You're going to go back to the Arbiter. You're going to put in your username and password. And when you log in this time, you'll have a list that looks similar to this. Now, like I said earlier, there won't be so many accounts on it. It'll have the 104520, which is your football account, which you've already been in. And now it will be asking you if you would like to accept into the new group that I added you to. So the other group that you'll have at that time will be 103372. And it will be CHASA Main. And it will most likely say Central Hub. So when you get to that account, you want to, yes, I want to accept into the group, and then you're going to sign into it. So that would be the little man here on the side. And then when you get it, this is what it's going to look like. So this is your next account that a new official would have access to. So let's say you just signed in and you're ready to go take the test. You're going to go to this testing tab here, and then you're going to come into the open tests. So there's several for CFOA, so I'm assuming that at that time they'll know which one to take.
Correct. So yeah, I've already talked to them. They're going to be taking the new officials test, and so we've kind of went over that. So perfect.
Okay. So then whatever one that test is, you're going to find which one is that, the mechanics test?
No, it's actually going to be the first one on the screen there. There you go.
Okay. Okay. So when you come to this screen, you're going to find that test, and then you're going to click on Take Test. Once you click on that Take Test, the test will come right up, and I think I can actually click on it and show you.
You should take the test for Tom, see how well you do.
Yeah, right? That'll love that when he gets a failed score back. So this is how it's going to look. So you're going to read the directions, you're going to click Next, or you're welcome, and then the instructions, and then each of those questions will come up. So that's exactly what the screen is going to look like.
And so the test is not timed, right? So you can take, 10 questions a day if you want, and then come back to the test each time, correct?
Right. The only suggestion I would say about that is when you're done, don't hit submit. Like if you're in the middle of question 29 and you have to go to work or whatever, don't hit submit, because it's going to submit it. You're going to fail the test, and then that's going to take away one of your opportunities to pass the test.
Right.
When you're finished, you'll go down and just hit save and exit. Don't submit, because once you get into the questions, it'll have next and it'll have submit.
Okay.
But if you hit submit, it'll submit no matter what question you stopped at. And it will automatically come back with a, 40% or whatever you happen to get on those first 29 questions. So if you don't finish it, if you have, you only have time to do a half of it, just hit save and exit, and the next time you log in, it'll pick you right up where you left off.
Okay. And they have three opportunities to pass it, right, with an 85%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It says take the test 3 times. You can take it, it can be open as long as you want it to be, and you have to get the 85.
Okay. And
Okay.
just for everybody's information listening to this, right, we've said that the test needs to be completed by August 22nd. So that is the day before the very first game. So I know on there it says the test expires December 1st, 2018, but you need to have your passing score in there by August 22nd of 2018.
Okay. So now that we've got to the test and you're taking the test, now you can see at the top where it says background. And this is the same screen, so you're going to go to the 103372 and you're going to click on the background tab. Once you click on that, it looks just like your registration page. So then you're going to put a check mark in the box, you're going to hit register. And then there's the 3 steps that you have to complete. So every time you see the red asterisk, again, that's required. You're going to go to the next page, and then this is kind of where it gets a little tricky. So once you read through all of this, you're going to have to say, I agree. And when you hit that, another section opens up, and you have to scroll down again and hit I agree again. And then you're going to hit next to the payment.
Okay. Once
you hit next to the payment, this $10 you do have to pay, so this was not included in your dues. And we do not I do not believe that the e-check option or the check option works. It's only credit card. So if for some reason you clicked on e-check and you put the e-check information in, immediately it's going to come back and give you an error. If you put a mark in the check, we don't accept checks for this. The only way to pay for it is by credit card. So you would just click on this, enter your credit card information, hit I agree, and make payment.
And when they do this, do they get instant feedback of you're good to go? Does it take 2 or 3 days? Do you get notified? Just kind of how does that process work?
No one will be notified that that the background check came through unless I need you to know.
Okay.
So if you submit and it comes back and tells me that you've passed it, you won't hear from me. I'll update your records. You'll be good to go. If for some reason something went wrong, like the payment didn't go through, or you didn't enter all of the information, or you didn't pass the background check, then I will notify you that something went wrong, and we'll work on it from there. So at this point, it's no news is good news.
Got it.
Okay. So my biggest thing in this section is that everything has to be answered. So if it asks for your birthday, it's your birthday. So this part here, this date of birth part, a lot of people think that's today's date, or they put in a random date, or whatever happens to be the case. But that has to be your actual birthday. And then you have to enter your Social Security number. Like, I know that sometimes online you don't want to enter that information, but it will not run the background check without that Social Security number. So maybe you've gone all the way through the payment page, the $10 came out of your bank account or on your credit card, and you're not going to have a background check because you didn't enter the correct information in this required information section. Or you went to the next page and you didn't scroll all the way down and answer both places where you have to say you agree. So just make sure in this background section that you have got all of the things answered before you make that payment.
Perfect.
And then once you do, it comes up onto my screen, tells me that you've made the payment. I update your information, and then the background check's good for 3 years. So next year when you re-register...
There's probably going to come up some quick questions. So, I mean, what are they looking for in the background check? Is it misdemeanors? Is it felonies? Is it, hey, I got a ticket last year? I mean, what would disqualify somebody?
The only thing that would most likely completely disqualify you would be any kind of sex offense.
Okay.
Obviously, it's looking for felonies. But we have it set pretty strict, so it's mostly just sex offenses. It might come up and tell me that you've recently had a DUI, but those things aren't going to disqualify you. So it may require a little more information. I may contact you and say, we're going to need the court documents saying that this case is closed. But it's pretty wide open parameters unless there's something on there that will tie you to a sex offense.
Okay,
Or
so I should worry about
violence against kids or things like that.
I shouldn't worry about the parking ticket then from last year or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No. It's gonna have to be pretty bad in order for me to know about it.
Okay.
So now you've got background check, you've got tested, you've paid, and you've registered. So all of the steps up to this point as a new official should be covered.
Okay.
As long as you pass the test with the 85, and I have your information here in the office for your background check.
So let's be optimistic now and say everything's went perfectly. I'm all signed up. All my accounts are good. I passed the test. I'm ready to sign up for my first sub-varsity game. How am I going to do that?
Well, the or your area director should have the assigners already on board and ready for you to go. Your name is in the pot for all of the assigners to find you. So if you were going to be assigned to the game, you'd come back to, let's go this way. You'd come back to your officials account and you'd come here to schedule. And any game that you've been assigned is going to come onto this screen. And it's going to have all of the game notes, and then on this side under accept and decline, there'll be a red or green box. And if you're accepting that game, then you're going to hit accept, and then that's the game that you're scheduled for.
So can you click on self-assign right now, because most of the JV games and sub-varsity games will be under self-assign.
You're going to be there?
Yep. And so, for those of you listening, varsity games will be given to you, so you would get notified by Arbiter when you have a new game assignment. Sub-varsity games are found under self-assign, and so this is where you can go in and put in the parameters. So you can, particular day, you're going to be looking for, obviously, football and sub-varsity. And then when you click on search, it'll bring up a list of all the games that are available for you to self-assign. I don't think there's anything in there or active right now because the season hasn't started, but this is where they're going to go and do that. And then once you click on the game, you're going to assign yourself to it.
Okay.
What else, Monica? What else do they have to know to get started and be ready to go for the season?
Well, have you spoken to them at all about their Arbiter Pay account?
I have not. So we have not discussed that.
Okay. So I think that the next big step then would be to make sure that you have your Arbiter Pay account ready. This process is a little bit different because it's going to take you from Arbiter 1, which you see on your screen, to Arbiter Pay, which are two different things. So your Arbiter Pay account is going to be set up and registered on Arbiter Pay, and then you're going to link it to your Arbiter 1 account. So
what is Arbiter Pay? They probably have no introduction to it, so what is that for?
Okay, so Arbiter Pay is how the schools pay you for the games you work. So it's all online. It will all be almost instant as far as getting paid. Once you're assigned, the schools can see you. They know that you're there. Once you complete the game, they should be able to click on a box and send the payment your way. Sometimes it takes 1 to 3 days, and depending on the school, it may take a week. They may only pay at the end of every week or the Monday after all the weekend games. But that's going to be the only way you get paid from most of the schools. At this point, I can't think of a school that isn't going to be paying online, that isn't working on getting all of their stuff set up this summer. So if last year they weren't paying online, they will be this year.
I was just going to ask that because I know last year it was about 50-50 to where, sometimes you'd get a check at the game. Sometimes they'd even come in the mail, right? So
Right.
Everybody's supposed to be paying online this year. That's great if that's
I mean, that is the goal. And most of the school districts have gotten all of their stuff set up. We've got some new programs for eligibility and stuff that's tying into Arbiter as well. So all of the schools will have full access to Arbiter on all different levels. So they should all be set up. They should all be ready to go. Now, with that being said, there might be a few stragglers that, especially since football is the first sport or, one of the first fall sports, some of them might still be working on it. So you might see some checks, but I would expect that most of your payment would be online.
Okay.
So to get started with that, you can come to your officials account, which is the 104520. This is basically going to be your hub for everything but testing and background. And then once you've got your background check, you're only really going to go into the central hub when you're testing or next year when you've got a test doing your veterans test. So you'll come to your 104520 and you'll click on payments. When you click on payments, you'll see that Tom already has an account set up, so you'll see what the end result looks like. But in order to start from scratch, you're going to click on this Arbiter Pay logo, and it's going to take you to Arbiter Pay account, or to the Arbiter Pay website. Now this is where you're going to sign up. You're going to click on the sign up today, and you're going to follow each of these screens through. So you're a sports official. You're going to click next. You're going to put in all the information that's required. Same goes for the asterisk. If it's there, you've got to enter it. It's not going to let me go to the next screen, but there's 8 steps that you're going to walk through each thing. So this is more of like the personal information, and then they're going to ask for a bank account number, which would be your bank account, not a credit card or anything like that. This is going to be a direct deposit situation that goes from the schools directly into your Arbiter Pay account. So you're going to want to make sure that every step through here is all filled out, all the required information. In one of these steps, it's going to ask you for a username, a password, and a security key. Make sure you remember all of that information, but specifically that security key. So that's something that you're going to set up, that you're going to choose. It's like a PIN number for your credit card. You have to know that in order to do the next step. So once you get through all 8 of these steps, the last screen will tell you the instructions of what you need to do next as far as the Arbiter Pay account is concerned. I believe that it's almost instant that you have your security key, you have your account number, you have your username. You're all set once you get to the end of this screen. So when you have that information, then you're going to come back to Arbiter Sports, and this is the screen that you're going to see. It's going to be blank. So this information down here at the bottom is only there because Tom's already linked his accounts.
Right.
So what you're going to do here is you're going to click in this box and you're going to put in your Arbiter Pay username. That's the one you created from the Arbiter Pay from this site. So once you have that, you come in here, you're going to put your username in this slot, and then you're going to click on this green plus sign. I don't think it's going to let me do that either. So once you click on that green plus sign, it's going to come up with the list of accounts that you are associated with. You're going to make sure that you enter the CHSAA Football 104520. You're going to put a little check mark next to it. You're going to scroll down to the bottom, and that's where it's going to ask for your security key. You're going to type in the security key that you created, and you're going to hit save. Once you hit save, it's going to kick out of that screen and populate it on this screen. So this is exactly what you're going to see when you get the 2 accounts linked. So see this CHSAA Football right here? Across from that, we'll have your balance and your account number. All of the payments that come in once you do a game, you're going to come back to this payment screen, and you'll see balance is now $48. Or maybe you wait at once a month and you've done 12 games. All of the games that you've been paid for online will show this balance. And then that's how you know you've got money in your RefPay account.
So I don't know if you'll know the answer to this particular question, Monica, but some schools, especially if it's the first time you've worked for them, they have you fill out a W-4 form on site. Is that going to change? They still may do that, or because we're going through Arbiter Pay now, is that going to be kind of a moot point?
Well, I'm not 100% sure. I would guess that they're still going to want you to fill out that paperwork. They're still going to want to have some sort of information for you, just in case something goes wrong and they have got to write you a check or something. Okay. I would venture to say that most schools will still have you fill out some sort of paperwork, especially if you're a first-time official for them.
Okay.
Okay, so now the trick is once you see the money sitting in this account, now the trick is to get the money out of that account. So that's when you're going to come back to, you can go back to this logo, which will take you back to this page or to this account, this website. Let me try to go back to the original. And then once you come back here, you're going to click Login. You're going to sign into Arbiter Pay, and on the left side of the screen, there's a button that says Transfer. You should be able to hit that and transfer the money into your bank account. And then it takes 1 to 3 days for that money to be transferred over, and you'll be set.
And I don't know if this is still the case with Arbiter Pay, but there's an option in there to do an automatic transfer. So as soon as the money hits in, it will transfer out. But I do believe they charge you $1.50 for doing that, or at least that's the way it has been in the past. So I would just note that if you want it, you don't mind paying the $1.50, then it's completely up to you. But that option is going to be down at the bottom of the screen for the transfer when you set that up.
Okay. So I think now that you've got your Arbiter Pay account, you know where to go and self-assign, and where games that are assigned to you via the assigners. You've registered, you've tested, you've got a background check. I think at that point you're probably set for this season.
So one other thing I would like to show, if you can, is blocks. So we talked about schools, and my kid goes to Legend High School, right? So I've got Legend High School blocks. They won't have to worry about dates so much because they're going to be kind of setting their own schedule. But if they needed to block a particular school because their kids go there, they have an affiliation with it, they work there, whatever, how would they go about doing that?
So here's your main CHSA page again. So this is still the 104520. And then you'd click on the Blocks tab. Now, once you're on this screen, here across the top, so here would be the dates that if you had to block out any dates. And then down here at the bottom, you see this action section. So now you want to block all day, you're going to click on this, and then pick the date that you want to block. Now, if you want to block a part day, then you would just do that, and then it'll give you an option to, do you want to block AM or PM? So then if you decide you want to just block teams, you're going to come up to this toolbar and click on Teams, and it's going to look a little bit different because Tom doesn't have that option. But if you wanted to block those or a site, that's where you're going to go to find out the schools that you want to. If I show all. So here's what it's going to look like for you. So all of these are going to show up, and maybe you can't work at Abraham, so you're going to click on that and hit save, and then that'll block out all games from Lincoln. And that's how you would do the blocks. And that's a site. So then teams would be the same. So you'd come here, the screen will look like this, and then you can block out Lincoln there as well.
Perfect.
And
well, Monica,
and I'm not sure what other things I don't believe you'll have any of these other options, so it'll probably just be dates, sites, and teams.
Yeah, those are the three that they would use the most.
Yeah. And then obviously some of this stuff seems like it's a little overwhelming, so if you get to a point where you can't really remember what we talked about or you want a little bit more explanation, I've got a lot of stuff written down that I can, send you over email, or I'm always available by phone. So if you get to a part and you can't remember or you get stuck, just give me a call. I'll walk you through it. Sometimes that self-assign stuff comes right up for people. The next official will log in and they won't have access to self-assign. If you get to that screen and you can't get to self-assign, just shoot me an email. I'll give you the permissions. I'll tell you that you'll need to log out, log back in once I give you that extra permission, and self-assign will be there. So, don't panic when you get to those screens and don't have that access. Just either call me or email me. Let me know you don't have that, and it takes me about 30 seconds to get you access to that. So don't hesitate to call or send me an email.
Got it. And so I know we dropped off checks and registration forms to you this week. Are they going to get their initial login email in the next couple of days or then? Is that when they should expect it?
Every official that was dropped off to me has their welcome.
Perfect. Okay.
So I put in all of the emails yesterday. I had the payment, so everybody should have a welcome. If you didn't see your welcome email pop up in your normal inbox, check your junk mail. Always look in the junk mail for the Arbiter Sports stuff, because sometimes that's the first place it's sent. If you didn't get a welcome, it might be because I have the wrong email address for you, or I couldn't read it correctly and I typed it in wrong. If you didn't see one, just let me know and I'll resend it to you. Or you can just go straight to the screen and try your email address and your last name, because you're already in there. So maybe you've already deleted your welcome email. Just try that default username and password, and it might log you right in.
Okay, great. Well, Monica, it's been very helpful. Excuse me. Thank you very much for your time this morning. I will be sending this recording out to the new officials. I'll also send a copy to you as well, so you can distribute it to some of the other areas if it may be helpful for them. But this was great overview. I think this will be very valuable to new guys coming in, and I will also send along your contact information so they have it handy.
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay, thanks again, Monica. You have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.